Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Bobby. This is Gator Gang Network, and I'm joined with my co-hosts Lucas and Darryl. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. It
It's Friday
big,
night, baby.
big matchup. SEC
And
championship game, 8 o'clock, prime time.
yeah,
Florida,
thanks. We have to
Alabama.
listen to Gary Danielson, but I don't have to do that, which is nice.
So here's a big matchup. Alabama, Florida, SEC title game, and Florida is the only team to beat Alabama in the SEC conference game. So
They
that's
did
that's
that. They
great.
did that. They did that 4 times.
Yes. So we can
20,
win this game, and I don't want to
25.
hear anybody say that Alabama's not beatable because we know the potential of Florida. We know their high-powered offense. We know that what the defense is capable of doing. We're just going to get right in it.
I
But
will
for
say
those of
this.
y'all who are watching, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all
I will
join.
say this. One of my keys is you gotta win the turnover battle, and you gotta make a play on special teams.
Give me a moment, Lucas. This game comes down to East versus West, and obviously Alabama is the number one team in the country, and Florida is the number seven team in the country according to the CFP. We were number six, and we thought we would drop a lot farther. Come Tuesday night, they revealed that we are number seven in the country, so we still have an outside shot to get into the college football playoffs, but obviously losing to LSU, and that kind of put a damper on things. But to see that we're number 11 in the AP, number seven in the CFP, really says a lot about
I will
the,
say
the,
this.
the strength of schedule that we've played, and the teams that we have on the schedule, and playing 10 games, this being our 11th game, and playing three top 10 teams of the season. That says a lot from to the committee.
And not a normal. You got to think about this. This is year has not been a normal year, and we're still 8-2. I'll take it.
Exactly, it's an all SEC schedule.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so listen, for the ones who think that we can look, of course, Florida has a long shot here. I'm going to tell you a story. In 1980, the United States hockey team played Russia for the gold medal. And the coach had a very famous phrase, and it's very popular to this day. And he said, if we played those guys 10 times, they would probably beat us 9. But tonight's the night we're going to win. So tomorrow night's the night we're going to win, and we're going to beat Alabama. It's going. You got to have that confidence. So stop saying that Florida ain't going to win this game and we don't have no shot. Florida, University of Florida is a name brand program. Dan Mullen and a Heisman winning trophy quarterback coming. Alabama is going down tomorrow night.
We are very capable of beating Alabama. We know the potential of our offense. We know what kind of offense we have. We know kind of what kind of defense we have. Last
Which
week
is
we did not play with Sean Davis. We did not play with Jeremiah Moon, two leaders on the squad that we were out. Kyle Pitts did not play last week. So there were some contributing factors along with the turnovers that Florida self-inflicted themselves with. Also, going down there on the first drive of that game and not getting any points. The Marco Wilson with the shoe incident with the penalty that kept their drive going, where they were able to kick a 57-yard field goal. And then we would ultimately get the ball back, and then go down there and have ourselves a chance to tie the game. And Evan McPherson missed that field goal. So Darryl, you weren't on the recap of the game last week versus LSU, but what was your take on the game? Looking at it, not fresh. Looking back at it, do you feel like people are overreacting to it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I realize that LSU was 3-5, but LSU is a good football program. They were coming to play us. Florida made some critical mistakes. Not getting points in the red zone is critical mistakes. Just the first drive alone, you kick that field goal, and everything still happens the way it does. We're going to overtime.
Yeah.
Two, unfortunately, we threw a pick six. So, I mean, there was critical mistakes. But I'm going to tell you, can't throw the damn shoe down the field, Marco
Look,
Wilson. You have the dang game won, and you throw a shoe down the field. Get him out of here.
I get it. They're college students. They're hyped up. They're in the moment. But you made a big defensive stop, and yeah, his cleat kind of ended up in your hand. But you got to put it down. You get to the sideline. Your offense has a chance to get the ball back with 2 minutes and 51 seconds on the clock at that moment. So you're going to get it with like 2:45 left, and you're able to go down there and have more time to maybe even get a touchdown and ice the game, or kick the field goal and tie it up. Either way, you would have had a little more time. But
that reminded me of when Sebastian Janikowski did the Gator jump against Florida in '97.
yeah, so like there's it's mistakes, and Marco's going to learn from it. He's going to be better from this. What we really want to see is him redeem himself this week. Because if you look back to the Texas A&M game where he was playing air or playing ball or the receiver, either way, he was on the coverage for that play and did not play that play right. So you could say that the game was, a little bit was on Marco Wilson for the A&M game and this game. So there's two critical plays of mistakes that he's made, but let's not kind of look at that, because Marco Wilson, he's a great player. And he's made some great plays for Florida. So we can't hound him on the mistakes he's made. All we can do is, encourage him and get back out there and not make another one.
So I touched on this a couple podcasts ago. As a fan base, it is very easy for us to sit on the recliner or the couch and criticize these young players out there playing on the field. And they are young kids. They maybe look like grown adults, but they're young kids. They're 20s, 18, 23-year-old, and sometimes the emotions get to them. So that's kind of the coaching that you have to coach up. And Marco Wilson is a good football player. He's made some mistakes this year, but he's gonna make a play tomorrow night, and you all are gonna forget about all this other stuff.
He's gonna get a pick. He's gonna get a pick. Sort of like when Joe Hayden did that against the 08, in the SEC championship game in 08.
Yeah, that was a great play. So yeah, Florida definitely has their work cut out for them. They got to be turnover free. They cannot make the critical mistakes, like you said, Darryl. They just cannot do it. This is a game that you've got to be on your A game and have a great week of practice and have the mindset of, we got to come in here and play our best game. And we knew Florida wasn't perfect. We knew there were things that were our Achilles heel, but maybe this loss will kind of give them a reality check and make them see where they're really at and where they need to improve and what changes need to be made. In the LSU game, we kind of made some tweaks on the offensive line. So we're going to see a little more of that this week. So there'll be some changes there, but I think it's a good change in the sense of depth, because Alabama's defensive line, they're stout too. Their second string is just as good as their first string. So we got to be able to have as many bodies as we have, so we can have fresh people as well. So everybody's got to step up. Everybody's got to be ready. And when your name is called, make the plays.
Exactly. Force Alabama to make the mistakes.
Yeah.
And they don't make many. One of the comments, they don't make many mistakes. You're right. But if we can get to them, we can make them make mistakes. And we cannot allow them to get the deep ball down the field, because that's what Alabama does. They throw that deep ball down the field. So we got to be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Y'all in the comments, y'all are on point right there with us. We have to play the best game of the season, and this is it. Our shot for the CFP, that might be out the window. That might not. We could get in playing the number one team in the country. Do we got to win decisively to get the nod in there? I would say that it's got to be a 10 to 14 point game for us to win that game, for us to get in. But let's control what we can, and
Yep.
we're not on the committee. We obviously, we do see we have respect from the committee, only dropping us one spot to number 7.
Yep. Yeah, the respect is there. I mean, the teams that we've lost to are not, they're not the bottom of the SEC. These
Number
are
1
good
and number
football
5.
programs. Yeah. So, um, Florida's, and they could have won those games of all SEC schedule. The SEC is respected. So now, are we out of the college football playoffs? Yeah, probably. But here's the reality: we're still going to go play the SEC championship game against the number 1 team in the country.
I will
And
say,
in my opinion, that's just as good as going and winning a national championship, because that's probably the team that would probably go win it. So if we can go beat them and win the SEC championship game since 2008, since we've done that, that would be huge.
Yeah,
I will
and
say
if,
that-
and
I
I'll
will
throw
say
this in
that
there. If
I want-
Alabama wins this game, then that loss to Alabama don't look so bad because we lost to the national champions. But the only thing that I see from Florida is if we lose this game, which don't get me wrong, I have full faith that we can win this game. But let's be real here: we're not playing a team that like we had against Tennessee or LSU, that we just kind of have a more of a mindset that we're capable of winning this game dominantly or with the statement. We're coming into this game knowing that we got to play our best and we got to be on our toes from beginning to end, all 60 minutes, and be ready for war. I mean, that's what it's going to be. I mean, there's going to be no pushback by either team. They're both going to give it their best shot.
It's going to be a 3-hour bloodbath. Is what it's going to
Yeah.
be. But I will say
Exactly.
that if we lose, I want to play Miami because Miami's quarterback was the person back that Trask was backing up when he was in high school.
Yeah. And Kyle
So I
Trask
know,
in this season has played really well. Go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead.
he is. So like you guys were saying, I mean, this is Alabama. I mean, they're the elite right now, and so going in there, Florida knows that. I mean, we're actually the underdogs, and I think they're going to be ready.
Did you see?
They're going to come in and play this game a lot different than they did Tennessee or South Carolina or Vanderbilt. They are going to come into this game much more ready, I promise you, and much more focused, just like they did when they went to go play Georgia. Maybe a slow start, but when they went to go play Georgia, you could see a different Florida team because they knew that was such an important game. They're going in this game knowing it's an important game. There's no doubt in their mind. They know that this is it. This is a big one. This is what you come to Florida to play for, right? It's the big games like this.
Did you see what Trey Grimes said?
What did he say?
He was like, "We know it's going to be a dog fight, but we know we can come. We're going to come out with a W."
I mean, he's right for saying that. I mean, having that confidence is everything. We've seen teams, come into, Georgia Southern, years ago, beat Florida. Nobody called that. So it's all about the confidence you come in with, and anything can happen on any given Saturday. And with 2020 being a year like no other, you never know what's going to happen. And I asked this question: did anybody give LSU a shot to win that game versus Florida?
I thought we were gonna kick the.
I knew they could. I knew they could win.
If you want to run stadiums, I thought they were gonna kick we were gonna kick their ass.
I wouldn't have picked them to win if I was putting money on it, but I knew that they were a capable team to come win.
They have a lot of talent, and
and they were the underdog.
Yeah, I mean, this is a year like no other, and we, like you said, Darryl, we can all be couch coaches, and from that standpoint,
we can all be like Thompson would say, couch tweeters.
Yeah, so we gotta like look at this in a reality aspect of this game is huge, and this is what you come to Florida to play for. In the beginning of every season, your discussion is take one step at a time, control what you can control, and your ultimate goal is to win the East, which is what they did.
Yep.
Now the next goal is to win the SEC.
Exactly. I was just about to say that you know, if you look at the last 3 years, I mean, Florida is improving. And maybe this year, because of the COVID and all the SEC schedule and stuff, things didn't work out quite as well. I mean, I thought this was a year that Florida could go to Miami and play the national championship game, and maybe in a normal schedule, we probably might have had a shot at that. But Florida
But
is improving. You're going to
but we
these
got
big bowl
this.
games. You're getting better records. Now you've won the East. Now you're going to the SEC championship game. So it's not we're not regressing. We're improving. And now if we go win this, I mean, it's to me that would be huge. I mean, it would be just as good as going and winning a national championship to me.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we've been 9-3 the first year, then
Mhm.
11-2 if you count the bowl game,
Mhm.
and then 8-2 this year. That
8-2
tells
this year, all SEC.
Yeah,
I mean,
all
all
SEC.
SEC. I
And
mean, and we
three
played
top
some of
five
the
games. Our top 10
we
games.
played. Yeah, and we didn't just play nobodies. I mean, A&M's one of the top teams from the West. LSU, I know their record ain't that great, but they're one of the top programs from the West.
They're the reigning national champions.
I mean,
I mean,
Alabama, I mean, obviously they're obviously number one from the West. So it ain't like we've been playing nobodies. I mean, these teams are good teams that we're playing.
exactly. And I know Lucas is going to want to touch on this topic. When we look at the defense and we see where we need to improve, we just had
don't
early
even get me
signing
started with
day.
the defense. I said my piece last week, but I'll say it again.
Well, hold on. Hear me out, Lucas. Talking about recruiting, what is your favorite recruit that we got on Wednesday that you feel is going to be an impact player immediately?
My my boy Donovan McMillan. He's a 4-star safety out of Pennsylvania, and boy, that guy can go. That guy can go ahead if you watch his tape.
Yes.
You
I'm
calling you
actually
Lucas the recruiting man.
yes, Lucas is on it. Marcus Burke, we got him. That was a big get out of Jacksonville. 6'3", 180. He's going to be a stud. I think our wide receiver coaches are great. Our quarterback coaches are great. We can't doubt that. So I know when these players get there, especially the wide receiving core, they know they're getting into a system where they're going to be used, whether it is receiving the ball or even blocking, or even being just a great decoy, because you don't necessarily have to have the ball to make an impact on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, look at Kyle Pitts. He's the perfect example of,
Look,
you can't put a linebacker on him, or you can't put a corner on him, because of different features of what he has, being, what is he,
hey,
6'5", 240. So he's a big dude.
look,
And
I know I didn't sign yesterday, guys. I'm waiting for my letter of intent to come, but
oh,
put my
oh,
helmet on.
gotta,
But look,
gotta, gotta.
I'm gonna play next year, okay? So I'm gonna commit to the University of Florida. Go Gators.
There we
There's
go.
you some inside recruiting.
We
Some
need to get
inside recruiting, Lucas.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, Florida's doing great in the recruiting. 1 5-star, and Jason Marshall, which was a great pick in the cornerback. Glad we got him.
And we stole his ass from Miami too.
Yes, we did. And also, what's his name from um, Jeremiah Williams? That was a huge get. He was leaning hard toward Alabama, but I think he
No, Auburn.
figured that
It was Auburn, not Alabama. It was Auburn.
out Auburn. But with Gus Malzahn getting fired and not knowing what direction they're going, he leaned to Florida and signed with Florida, which I think it's a great get
We
for Florida.
also got
He might be
Marcus Burke's
considered a
teammate.
4-star, but to me, I don't think the stars are all that relevant when you look at Kyle Trask. I mean, he's a 3-star, and then look at him now. Well, what do you think his ranking would be? Playing right now, probably a 4
Yeah,
or 4 or 5
look,
star.
stars to me don't matter. I mean, honestly, they really don't. I mean, I look at Antonio Callaway. I mean, he was a 3-star. I mean, if he would have stayed out of trouble, he would have been a great receiver. Um, Kyle Trask. I mean, to me, he's a 5. He's a 6-star. I mean, I mean, just because of what he's doing and the strength that he has to stay with the program despite maybe not even getting to play, maybe, and staying with a program like that, knowing that he's a good quarterback. And look
he
at
can
him.
go.
I mean,
He
he's
can go
great.
for
The story is great.
Today. Good
story
for
is
him.
great.
And
It's
I
a,
still think that Kyle, despite the haters, Kyle is to me is still in the front running for a Heisman. I mean, he's got to play a good game tomorrow night, of course, but if he can come pull out, and beat
I think
Alabama in the SEC championship, it's supposed to be
Rachel,
about the best player, and he would just beat the guy that would be ahead of him. So,
mhm.
in my opinion, if he can go do that, Kyle is not out of a Heisman candidate
have
spot.
they
I mean,
announced
he's
if
still
that's
in
gonna
there.
be Rachel yet, or
That's one of the things that I wanted to. One of the questions I was actually going to ask you, both of y'all, was: do you think that Kyle Trask's Heisman hopes are out of the water
no?
No,
Yeah, I don't.
after
I
that
don't.
loss to LSU?
no,
He's got.
But I don't think so because he's so far ahead in passing
yeah,
touchdowns. And he did have two throwing touchdowns and two rushing touchdowns in that game versus LSU, which accounted for all of Florida's points.
he
Basically.
is not out of the Heisman running. I mean, if he can go and be the guy that I would think that people who vote is ahead of him right now, just because it's Alabama, um, he's not out of it. I mean, no, he's not out of it. It's
Well,
not about who's
how do
going
you
to
feel
play
about Najee Harris?
who.
No,
Najee
not
Harris, their running back.
Yeah, I mean he's
We got
good, but I mean
we
it's
got to contain him because he was something that I wanted to get into. But he's a force to be reckoned with.
he's a beast. We got to stop him.
We got to contain him. We're not. I'm not going to say he's not going to get yards, but we got to contain him as best we
Slow
can.
them down.
Yeah,
Slow
yeah.
them down. We may not stop that kind of talent, but you can at least slow them down.
hmm Because I truly believe we have the offense that can stand toe to toe with them,
Yeah,
but we got to talk about the defensive side of the ball for
if we just
Florida.
play, if we
And
just play average, we win that game. If
in
we
the
just,
trenches, we got to have our best game from that defensive line. That defensive
yes,
line has got to play their best game because they're playing a stud of an offensive line in Alabama, who's number one in the SEC this year. So we really got to be at it and get to Mac Jones.
yes.
I'm not
No,
gonna
yeah.
lie.
So we definitely have to stop the running back, and then if we have to get pressure on Jones, like I mean, if we can do that, that's how you stop a good quarterback. I mean, you or the other option is, and people may not want to hear this, but we need to control the ball more and keep the football out of Alabama's hands. Right? I mean, that's how you stop a high-powered offense.
Because if
And
they don't have the ball, they can't go down there and
They
score.
can't score if they ain't got the ball. It may take longer drives and it may not look as pretty, and it may be a lower scoring game that way. But that may be another way that Florida could actually win the football game if they could just keep the ball away from Alabama.
by the numbers, Florida has a better offense than Ole Miss, and Ole Miss gave Alabama a run for their money.
Yep.
Alabama had to earn that win and had to come away with it. And I think the only reason why Alabama won that game is because of depth.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to the later part of that game,
The
the
fourth quarter,
depth,
yeah.
the fourth quarter, Ole Miss was starting to get tired because they don't have that depth that Alabama has. But Florida, we have more depth than Ole Miss. So if we can just come out there and get that game plan and execute everything with relentless effort, as Coach Dan Mullen praises each and every day to the players. We have a strong shot to win. We just cannot have the critical mistakes.
I know we
Exactly.
talked about this on the. I know we talked about this on the before the show, but do you guys think Mike Wilson will start tomorrow after the free throw?
I believe he will. I believe he will because I'm sure he feels really bad about what he did, and he wants to get make a play. And I feel that he's going to be locked in and ready and use all this hate as motivation and
Yeah,
have one hell of a game.
I was gonna say, this. I think he does play, and regardless of his mistakes, I think Marco is gonna play really good tomorrow night. I really do. I think people are gonna, you know, regret some of the things that have been said this week.
Yeah,
I
that's my
agree.
advice.
Um, but we have a great defense. We know what they're capable of doing. We've actually seen some of the younger players. I believe it was in that A&M game that really stepped up and
Hmm.
played hella good. So with getting play time, you get more experience, you get more comfortable with the defense, and you get
Yeah,
out there with the number ones. So it's great, and we just got to have everybody back. Like I said earlier in the podcast, we didn't have Sean Davis, we didn't have Jeremiah Moon, we didn't have Kyle Pitts, so we were missing key players on both sides of the ball that are key factors in us being able to get this win. And I don't know if y'all seen Dan Mullen's press conference the other day, but he did kind of put you on your toes with saying that we would bring back the Wildcat from 2010. So, look out for
right.
some things that we haven't seen this year.
I'm sure Dan Mullen has a playbook that we haven't seen this, and I'm sure he's gonna call some plays are that we haven't seen this year. I
Yeah,
mean, has I mean, I know he's been setting this up all year, but uh, Jones really hasn't thrown the ball that much. I mean, a couple times, like later in the game, but I'm talking about like early when he puts him in running. You might see some trickery there and see if we get one down the field on him pretty quick.
You might see
yeah.
Kadarius Tony throw one. He
Yeah, you
forgot
may
to
even see
remember.
something like
Kadarius
that.
Toney,
I
I mean,
mean,
Kadarius
He
Toney was
forgot to
he was
remember.
a
He was a
quarterback
high school
in high
quarterback, so he
school.
knows how
So
to throw.
yeah,
so
he's
we
got
might
an
see
arm.
some
He can
stuff.
throw.
This is
Kadarius
the time.
Is an all around player. He can play
Yeah,
anything. The way he can stop and cut on a dime
yeah.
is remarkable. And he's the closest thing to Percy Harvin.
Look,
And that is a tremendous comparison because
yes.
Percy Harvin was on a level like no other. And for you to
This is
even
I'm gonna actually
be
say
able to
Cope.
mention Kadarius Toney in the same breath as Percy Harvin says a lot about KT.
I'm gonna actually
this is
say Cope is more like Percy, but
look. This is the time to pull out all the stops. I don't care, but this is the time to get your playbook out and I call the plays to get you to win with your foot on the pedal and go
The whole
because
game.
Florida has the offense to do it. This is it. This is the game. Forget about the playoffs and all that stuff. Win this football game. Put it in there. Get them in there.
And the one thing that I
if
know
we
that
win
we've
this
got to
game
be
tomorrow,
better on.
you don't know how. If we win this game tomorrow, you have no idea how happy I will be.
And
But
we got
he'll
to
be
get this. But I gotta ask you all this. Um, with Florida's defense playing what we know they're capable of playing, and they get these stops, and you see the offense, being able to get out there. I say we got to get a fast start and get an early
yeah.
lead because the defense plays better with the lead. Because as we have mentioned time and time again, Grantham's defense is a risk and reward. It can be
Yes.
really great or it can be really risky. So having a lead, you can kind of put a little more risk in it because if you get it, great. If you don't, at least you're playing with the lead.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think that Grantham plays a little bit looser or a little bit more aggressive with the lead than he would behind. I think when we're behind, he plays a little bit more safe and back, and that's just not. It doesn't suit us. It doesn't suit our offense or our defense. So yeah, we got to start. We got to start quick. I mean, that's it. I mean, and Dan can do it. He's the coach that can do it. He's probably one of the better offensive coordinators out there.
Exactly. So before we get out of here, let's get to our score predictions.
Oh,
Lucas,
can I
I'm gonna
get my
start
shout
with
out real
you.
quick? 28
Yeah, go
21.
ahead.
I want to give David Soderquist, Brian Fox Jr., and Jake Hitt a shout out for having me on their podcast yesterday. It was pretty fun. I left a voicemail for the show and they played it on the air. So and they do a really good job of covering the UF football and go
That
Gators.
that's that's really awesome. What is the name of their podcast so we can let everybody know to also tune
The
into them.
Gridiron Girl podcast.
There you
All
go.
right.
Y'all make sure y'all tune into that as well. I'm more than happy to give anybody a shout out that does any other podcasting. Because it's great. We know we're all one big family. We all cheer for the orange and blue, and that's just the way it is. So, shout out to them for their podcast. A shout out to David Waters and Gators Breakdown, and the job that he does. Tremendous job. We actually had him on the show last year. Hopefully, we can get him back
You and
or
Nick
get
on
him on
too,
the
don't
podcast
you?
Monday
And Nick
night.
on too, don't
And Nick
Nick-
Vittori, we had him on the podcast as well. Shout out
you
to
missed
him.
that. You missed that one there, buddy.
So, we're doing great things here in Gator Gang, but we know what the Gators got to do to get out of to get alive, come out alive in this game. And as we say when we get off here, if you ain't a Gator,
Hey, scores.
oh, scores. I'm gonna have to go 38-34. I'm gonna say it's gonna be in the 30s. It's not gonna be too high, not gonna be too low. It's gonna be tightly contested. But Florida's got to make it to the fourth quarter. We get to the fourth quarter in a close game, we stand a chance.
I honestly think Marco gets a pick like Joe Hayden did in 08 to seal the game.
We need
All right.
something
Well,
like
look, guys. Look. So for the
no.
Georgia game, don't you laugh at me, Bobby. All right. So look, for the Georgia game, I did something a little different, and I picked Georgia to win, hoping that the Gators would beat them, and it worked, guys. I mean, it worked. So come on, give me a little bit of respect. Florida won and beat Georgia. So my score prediction is look, I'm just kidding. It's going to be 52-10. Gators are going to kill them. You can call me crazy all you want. Go Gators. We're going, baby. 52-10. All right.
That's saying a big statement. So with
Hey,
that,
it's going down. 52-10. All right, go
52-10.
Gators.
That's a
We're
big
gonna
one.
97 Sugar Bowl their
Yeah.
ass.
So
That's
as we
it.
said before we get out of here, if you ain't a Gator, you must
You
be
must
Gator.
be Gator, baby.